yeah, we're talking about that. But first, because it's the only way I'll get to show it off properly, because it won't show off fully on the wrestling stuff. This is the t-shirt I was wearing last night during Sherlock. So yeah, in some inadvertent terms, I got the right guy. Congrats, Tyler. Congrats. It's even got that on the back. I shouldn't really be showing that, because that probably is slander to a Nintendo video by putting something to do with Sony. But there you go. Try and keep that up there before I put it in the wash. So, the Switch got revealed. And it's an interesting situation. In that it looks alright, but so many things have happened that make me go, I don't know what Nintendo are thinking. So first, let's talk about the positives from the conference and what's come out. Firstly, apparently the performance is pretty good. With it, the way it's running, the way it switches over from when it's docked, so on your TV screen to pulling it out once the controllers are connected. Near instantaneous, if like a second or two. Just like in, out, on the screen. Shouldn't click like that, because you'll get sick of it. But yeah, performance seems to be good. Legend of Zelda looked incredible. Was a very good trailer for hyping it. Splatoon 2 looked really good. Mario Odyssey, I was trying to remember the name of it. Super Mario Odyssey looked extraordinary. Even though it doesn't really look... Hang on, that's a negative. I'm trying to think of all the positives. The fact that it's coming out so soon, I would say, is somewhat of a positive. It's also somewhat of a negative, so I'll bring that up later on. And I think that's sort of about it. The thing is, though, some of those games were that good that, you know, I am intrigued to see how it does. But I've got a feeling, because of some of Nintendo's things, and some things that aren't Nintendo, but are going to affect Nintendo badly, it's going to be an interesting one. Case in point. So, where do I start? So, the release date is the first point of I'm unsure about, because it seems pretty early. Obviously, I think they're trying to get it out before the financial year or whatever, which for most people sort of is like March or April-ish, at least in America, so I don't know whether that's because they're doing it. But looking at the release dates and everything for around that time, okay, not for the Switch, but for stuff which could be seen as competition to it, certainly. For Honor comes out on the 14th, apparently, along with Sniper Elite 4. I mean, I'm not saying the same thing, but if you've only got so much money, admittedly, you can't really get a Switch now because all the pre-orders went, but you've got Sniper Elite 4 and For Honor on the 14th, which a lot of people will be interested in. The week after that will be Halo Wars 2. The week after that, oh wow! So unless they've changed it, which I'd have to check on Amazon quickly while I'm here. Apparently, Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS4 may be coming out here the same day, because I don't know whether it's changed. Okay, it's now coming out on the 1st, so it's now coming out on a Wednesday. I guess they're shoving that because of Nintendo. That's interesting. But that means it'll be coming out a day. I think it comes out on February the 28th, so like a few days before for America. So it is going to be coming out beforehand, but then after that, you've got Ghost Recon Wildlands, which could be good. You've also got the Nier and Neo games over that month. And then, possibly, South Park and Mass Effect. Right at the end of March. It's coming in at a big time where it could get buried. And the idea I felt was they need that game, and well, they need the console and the games to do well. The reason why I have a problem with this is probably the biggest problem out of a lot of them, and that is cost. I think it's being pitched here at, let me have a quick look. Oh, there is no price because you can't buy it. I think in the UK it's about 280. In America it's 300. To me, I feel that's top end, if not beyond top end of where it should have been. The reason why, because I can't remember, because I think the Nintendo Wii U launched about $250, £250, I think. So that means the new console is more expensive. Whereas when you look at some of the titles, as in Legend of Zelda and, I hate to say it, Splatoon and Mario Odyssey, they look like Wii U games. It's just they're on a different hardware now. So much so that you're getting a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is basically just the old game with all the DLC, plus new characters and modes and whatever. So it's basically just a Game of the Year edition style of the Wii U game. See, that's the cost of the consoles. I've had a quick look over Amazon. And also, well, I'll get to the storage capacity, which I think is a problem as well, to some extent. If you want to buy, keep in mind, that's another thing. If you want to buy a 500GB PS4 on its own, which is the equivalent of the Switch, because it's not coming with a bundled-in thing, I'll rant about that in a minute. On Amazon, you can get one currently for £225, at least in the UK. So a more powerful system is, let's say, £50 cheaper. And in case you think I'm being, PS4-ist, I'm looking at the Xbox One as well. Of which, okay, it doesn't seem like there is just a plain console, to be quite honest. Nearly all of them seem to be bundles, which I might as well bring that into account. A 500GB PS4 with Uncharted currently is £240 on Amazon. A 500GB PS4 with Lego Star Wars and the Star Wars Blu-ray, Episode 7 that is $236 off Amazon directly. A 1TB edition on its own off Amazon is just shy of £272. The Call of Duty Infinite Warfare bundled one is $244. Nothing else listed, at least on the front page. There's a lot though with Xbox. You can get a FIFA 17 bundle, 500GB, and a Minecraft. You can get a FIFA 500GB bundle for $219, a Minecraft 500 gig bundle for 214, a 1 terabyte Gears of War limited edition bundle for 250, FIFA for 270. Even the 1 terabyte with the Division, which isn't highly good in my opinion, is 270. More powerful consoles with more storage for cheaper. But then also on the price, I need to bring in the price of the peripherals. So I'm looking over the Nintendo Switch list of well, it says hot new releases, because obviously most of them are coming out over the next month or so. Legend of Zelda on the Switch is going to cost £60. Legend of Zelda on the Wii U, which in essence could be the same game, is £40. If you haven't got a Wii U, I'm guessing the angle that they're going is they want you to get the Switch. Thing is, though, if buying a somehow still in stock Wii U, or even a second-hand one that's good quality, and a £40 game is cheaper than the Switch and a £60 game, I've got a feeling a lot of people are going to choose the other one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is going to cost £50. If you haven't got Mario Kart 8, okay-ish deal. But if you've already got it on the Wii U, are you willing to shell out another £50 just for the extra content? And then the accessories. So a carrying case for your Joy-Con things are £20. A pair of controllers is £75. The charging grip thing, which also acts like as the Xbox style controller gadget thing, £28. The Pro controller, £100. I think that means a Wii U Pro controller is like half the price than that was when it was new. £14 for a plastic wheel set of 2. The AC adapter, if you needed a spare one, is £28. The straps that go onto the console and then go onto your wrist, so you don't smash your TV in like the original Wii's did, they're a £5. Controllers on their own, be it left or right, £43 each. To me, that is very pricey. £75 for basically the controls you need for quite a lot of the games, like ARMS. I'll get to what they showed that I didn't like. A PS4 controller is, let's say, in the region of £45, which is probably too expensive as well. But somewhat similar technology is in the Nintendo ones, but it's not double the price, but close to, at least if you buy the set of the two. I think prices like that could put people off, especially if they wait a few months and it'll all get knocked down, probably, in terms of bundles actually for the holiday season. Which then brings me to another thing that I think has got wrong, and that is the games, or lack of. The only 2 retail games that are coming out are Legend of Zelda on launch. So yeah, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and 1-2 Switch. Legend of Zelda looks great. 1-2 Switch looks like, I can't say it seems like Wii Sports, because that actually seems to be accessible for all the family. This looks like was it called Wii Dare? I mean, okay, that was a bit sexual and whatever, but I think what I'm trying to get at is, I think 1-2 Switch will act as a very good party game for various things. It takes elements from, I think it was Johann Sebastian Joust. It was certainly a game that was at one of the conventions that I went to a few years back, which had a similar concept, except it was like pistols. It was like a duel sort of thing, like Barry Lyndon, where you had to walk and make your paces, and then, you know, be first on the trigger, or try and aim the PlayStation Move ball at the other one so it deactivated it. There was like a tag one as well, where you had to touch the controller enough that it shook to knock the other person out the game. I think it's certainly one of the things that went into like the Johann Sebastian Joust sort of other stuff. I can't exactly remember, but it was that style of game, and to me that's what this reminds me of. It's just WarioWare mixed with that. It's like various tasks, like pick up to call the phone, you know, pistols at dawn, you know, strike a pose, all that sort of things. All those sort of things, sorry. And I don't think that's got any longevity to it. It'd be alright if it was something that was actually in the thing as a free sort of, hey, this is what the controls can do, but it isn't. And then, I think the other games are like Bomberman, Super Bomberman R, digitally, along with, I think, Skylanders and something else. There's only 5 games at launch, 2 of which only seem to be physical. I mean, I don't know. It's just, you know, I'm going to keep going on about it because I think, and then, yeah, so the release dates, Mario Kart 8 isn't out till end of April. Splatoon 2 isn't out till, I think, spring, they said. No, Splatoon 2's summer. Spring was ARMS, which looked really stupid. People have said it isn't as bad as it looked from people that have played it. And then the Mario game, which looked finished and everything. And then they said holiday, and I was like, if that was a game that you had at launch, there'd be a lot more people interested. Sorry, Zelda fans, but I think there's a lot more connection to people with Mario than there is the other one, to some extent. They seem, you know, Mario is the face of Nintendo, not Zelda, even though arguably he's just as an important figure. And then with the other stuff that they showed, we had, Shin Megami Tensei, which we'll probably get over here, but I don't know how many people will be interested in. Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Warriors. So I guess Hyrule Warriors was that good. We're now doing it for the Fire Emblem series, you know, with Dynasty Warriors. Project Octopath Traveler. What was the other one? Xenoblade. All Japanese sort of stuff, which admittedly the press conference was in Tokyo. And then we get to the third party situation. The Wii U failed because the third party gave Wii U at the start old games. Case in point, Mass Effect 3 and the Armored Edition of Arkham City. You know, games that had already been out for a year or two at least, that most people probably would have already played. And guess what? They're doing it with Skyrim, which again, that itself isn't out till the fall. So that might be out nearly 6 years since it originally came out. So Nintendo's getting a game that was on the other consoles 6 years ago. Not even on next gen. Hell, at that time the Wii was still a thing. Nintendo's gone 2 generations and they're only just catching up in terms of PS3 stuff. I know Skyrim Remastered is now out on the next gen consoles, but this Skyrim on the Switch is not the remastered HD version or anything, from what I can tell. But then Sega showed up and they said, oh, we're developing games. They didn't show anything. They could have had something for Sonic Mania. They could have had a confirmation, yes, we're doing Mario and Sonic at the 2018 Olympics. They didn't have to say where, just in case that all of a sudden... well, no, it wouldn't be that changes, would it? Because the Olympics... Yeah, because the Winter Olympics are in South Korea. So, yeah, they could easily do that. Could have said that, but they literally said nothing. EA, Patrick Soderlund, flew all the way from LA to say, we're bringing FIFA to Switch. I don't know how many people in Japan are going to be interested in FIFA. I don't know how many people in America are going to be interested in FIFA. And, to be quite honest, I don't know how many people are going to be interested in Europe with FIFA specifically on the Switch. Because Ultimate Team is such a big thing, and because there's exclusive stuff on Xbox, people aren't going to go to that one. Plus, are you going to be getting an inferior product on the Switch compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One? Because of the power and everything. Suda51 made the foreign translator probably crap his pants, going off script. But they announced, oh yeah, we've got that Travis Touchdown character, he's coming back. They didn't actually say No More Heroes 3, because I guess they don't want to call it that yet, even though it'll probably be called that in the end. But all it was, yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the Switch, so I'm making a game for it. Nothing really substantial, to some extent. And that's all they showed. They didn't even have Ubisoft on stage at all to highlight any of their rumoured upcoming stuff, like Rabbids RPG and some sort of Rayman Complete Edition and Steep and Just Dance. That's the other game that's coming out at launch, but they didn't bother to announce that either. Yeah, they left out them. Square Enix's stuff was just the trailers that we saw, nothing else substantial. Which means there must be quite a bit for the 3DS that people are still attached to. Especially as well, if you look at the wording for everything that they did at the event, they kept stressing how it's a console. Well, if it's got portable capabilities, I understand it can be a console, but wouldn't it be easier to just say it's a handheld console? as in it's both a handheld machine and also a console machine. Then you look at the storage. It's got 32 gig of memory, so basically exactly what the Wii U had when it shut down. Because obviously the 8 gigabyte one eventually got phased out, and they just stuck with the 32 gigabyte model. Keep in mind, 32 for what, £280 I said, compared to a 500 gig PS4 for what, 230, 240, if that. I can't even remember looking at the prices. So that's £50 more for what, 10 times less the size. Admittedly, you can expand it with a 128 gigabyte SD card or micro SD. I can't remember exactly the terminology, but sure, you can expand it, by another 128, but that's still what, doing my math, 130, 160 gig. So that's 3 times less than, plus you have to obviously pay yourself for the SD card, for the expandable storage. But if you don't get that, from what they've said, the install base, the install size of Zelda is roughly going to be about 13 or 14 gig. So close to half of the storage is going to be gone on one game. I guess that isn't bad, considering there's only 5 games coming out at launch. But still, it's just disappointing. I want Nintendo to do well. I want this, and then on top of that, the pre-order situation. You can't get them anymore because there's no stock guaranteed. Apparently, GameStop managers have been told that each store in America is getting only 25 consoles, which I should probably should have checked that. GameStop number of stores, 7,117. So that's, let's say, around about 100,000. No, roughly about 200,000 copies just there, admittedly. If they're trying to be as successful as they are, the production issue is clearly the problem. They did it with the NES Classic, and they seem to be doing it again with the Switch. The reason why the Wii U was so successful is they couldn't produce enough stock because there was that much demand. Because I think within the first few months it sold, at least worldwide, about 30 million units of consoles, I think. Wii sales. Yeah, so yeah, it sold 100 million units worldwide. That's Black Friday 2011. That's not really what I'm trying to get to. So yeah, within it launched when? Doesn't even say. Anyway, by the end of 2006, it had sold 3 million units. And by the end of 2007, it had sold 20. So let's go from there. Within a year, 20 million units of the console had sold. I honestly think with the Switch, if it gets to, if we're looking at that and saying it's roughly, I don't know, a year or so. So if we look at the figures for the end of March 2018, because it would be roughly around then, because I think it came out like November-ish in 2006. 13, 14 months, whatever, I don't think it will probably reach 10. And that's, I mean, actual sales, not... Oh, sorry, that's units shipped. It doesn't even include sales. I don't think there's going to be 20 million units shipped, to be quite honest, in America. Well, sorry, worldwide at all. I don't think it will reach 10. Because, have a quick look. Wii U sales. Should have done all this research beforehand, but you know. There you go. 92.5 million Wii U games have been sold. So since its launch, yeah, wow. As of September last year, 2016, the Wii U sold 13 million. So the Wii did in a year what it did in a year what the Wii U couldn't even do in 5 years. Well, 4 and a bit, I guess. And so I guess on that sense, if it did do 10 million a year, it would be more successful than the Wii U. But they're clearly trying to replicate the Wii success. I don't think it's going to reach that far. And my question is, are these Nintendo shareholders and whatever and investors going to get itchy fingers and go, this ain't good? Because it could honestly be the situation of they aren't going to do well. I want them to do well. I think the price point is a bit bad, but for those that want to pay it and have got the money, sure, go right ahead. I'm just concerned. The thing is, though, and a lot of people have pointed this out as well since it came out, if it ever came to a point where Nintendo did a Sega and pulled out and just published games instead, they probably make a lot more money. If you said to somebody, oh yeah, Zelda's coming to the Xbox One, or Mario's coming to the PS4 and Xbox One, or whatever, if they were published on one of the other consoles, they'd probably sell more. Which is the most shocking, disappointing, but probably possible thing, if it were to happen. I don't want it to become a two-horse race. But the situation, you know, I guess in this situation it's a glass half empty, not half full. I'm being pessimistic. Don't worry, I'm still interested to see what happens with it. And I really hope it works and it's successful. But I can't get my hopes up. They did all this sort of thing with the Wii U. Admittedly, that had a lot of convoluted marketing and everything. You know, they didn't make it clear it was different, whereas at least with the whole term of Switch, it is. And I haven't even mentioned the online services now being charged for, which isn't that too much of a problem, but then the whole concept of, oh, you get a free game every month, which basically a classic Nintendo or Super Nintendo game, with the Super Nintendo games getting additional multiplayer functionality, online multiplayer. Should be interesting to see how that works. I'll have to rework some of the games. But the thing is, once the 30 days is up of that month, or I guess if it's February 28 or 29, or 31 if it's longer than 30, once that month's period of the month is over, you can't play that game. You then have to pay for it. Which, if it's a multiplayer game that's really fun, like, I don't know, Tetris, probably wouldn't be Tetris, but like, I don't know, Dr. Mario or something like that. Like a Bomberman or Super Mario Kart thing. It's going to be easier if it was the other way. You know, that you can actually play it all the time, as long as you got the account. But they haven't even said what the prices are. They haven't even said on the backwards compatibility issue. So if you've got games that you've played on Wii or Wii U, can you play them directly through the, you know, or even old games that you bought on the virtual stores, can they carry over to the Switch? And they've said, we've heard this issue, we're looking into it. There's no definitive answer, despite the fact this console's coming out in, what, 5-6 weeks? And it's going to be one of the hotbeds for people that have already got the console, basically saying, is it worth me investing more money for something that I'm going to play one game on, which I could play on the Wii U anyway? The only other one being 1-2 Switch. Because Skylanders, I think, is on Wii U, possibly. Just Dance is on Wii U. Super Bomberman R, I don't think is. That's the only other one. You know, the 2 out of the 5 games at launch are Wii are Switch exclusives. All that sort of stuff concerns me. It may concern you, it may not. You know, per the title, give me your thoughts in the comments. Switch on or switch off. You know, I'm really intrigued as to seeing people's thoughts on it. You know, because I understand people that are looking forward to it and are going to say, you know, I'm wrong for looking at all the, you know, all the bad stuff. It's just my personal opinion, and I'm just a little worried as to what's to come. As I say, I want to be wrong about it. I'd like it to be successful, but from the way it was presented, at least in the formal Japanese-style conference, and all the media that I've seen since, that's got uploaded over the weekend to YouTube, part of me is just a little worried. Now, you've either you know, if you've got the thing over there, which is the or is it over there? I never look at this. So is it that side or that side? Whatever. Where the playlist thing is, if you've got it turned on, you know, it'll probably go to the next video next. Or if you're watching on mobile, or you know, you can skip to the next video by pressing that like triangle with the line and whatever. Can't do it. Either way, that's enough from this video. Let's switch to the next video. If it's me, that's really awkward, but there you go.